on to some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to a cursing episode of All Things Horror. I am your host Ben and I'm joined here with my co-host Matt. If you're new, if you're new to the show, each week we choose a movie to break down, review it, give our honest opinions, and rate it from 1 to 10. We have a brief spoiler-free chat about the movie before we head into the plot and then discuss our favourite and least favourite parts of the film. If you stick around until the end, we'll finish off with some interesting trivia and a fun little horror-related game created by myself. And this week, we're going to be discussing the 2009 film Drag Me to Hell. So this movie follows a loan officer named Christine Brown, who refuses an old lady an extension on her house. But after the old lady places a curse on her, Christine's life is soon turned into a nightmare.
Living hell.
Yeah, literally. And it's directed by the great Sam Raimi and written and co-written by Sam Raimi and Ivan Raimi. I don't really know much about Ivan Raimi.
No, I don't. I only know of Ted. I'm a big fan of Ted.
Yeah, Ted's the brother actor.
Yeah, he's great. I think he pops up very briefly in this. Ivan. I've not got a clue.
No. It's got a main cast of Alison, Lohman, Justin Long, and Lorna, Raver, with a total runtime of an hour and 39 minutes, which ain't too bad. There's a couple of places where you can watch it for free. I don't know if you watched it on these, but they're on Plex and Pluto TV.
Pluto. It was on. It was on for 99p on Amazon, so I am a proud owner of Drag Me.
Okay.
Proud, sort of owner, because you don't really own it, do you? But yeah.
Yeah. Had you seen this before?
No. I think
First
Sam
time.
Raimi is a massive blind spot for me. Obviously, I've seen The Evil Dead a few times. Just, I don't know, just something like I appreciate Sam Raimi. Like, I know him and his crew are like super creative people. The ideas are always new and interesting, and like I know he's really good, but I've just never had that emotional attachment to watching all his films like I would with, say, Romero or people who I'll always watch everything that they do. And this one kind of put me off with it being quite modern. I was just like, oh, for me, like modern, even though I'm watching films now, which is strange, but like films in the 2000s are modern films.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is one of those where I was like, oh, I bet it's going to be like bad CG and,
Yeah.
But the name got me. I thought the name was a good name.
Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah, I think that's a good name. And I thought, maybe it's something a bit different.
Well, that's interesting actually, because I see that Sam and Ivan, they actually wrote the screenplay for this back in the very early 90s, and the original title for this was called The Curse, which I don't think is that good, but
No, it's not as good.
yeah, but they planned on shooting this straight after they did Army of Darkness in 1992, I believe, but they just kept putting it off because I'm assuming they had their own other projects, and things just kept getting in the way, and it got pushed back and back and back. But I don't know. Do you reckon, how different do you reckon this would have been if they did do it in 92? I mean, CGI plays a massive part in that.
Yeah, there's some chunks of CGI, but then there's some good practical stuff. I mean, the ideas are good, and like, so you can kind of forgive some of the clunkiness the technology hadn't quite got to the. I mean, even now,
Yeah.
sometimes you watch some stuff and you think, oh, that's quite jarring. I don't think it massively took away from the film. It's funny, I thought Alison Lohman was really good and Justin Long was really good. And the sort of surrounding characters were okay. And it definitely felt like a 2000s film.
Yeah.
But it would have been interesting to see it as a kind of 80s. Well, it wouldn't have been 80s, would it? It would have been like 90s film. It might have even been worse CGI.
Yeah.
And it depends whether he was just really wanting to go down that route, because all of his practical effects are kind of the inspiring practical effects that people have used or wanted to try and emulate afterwards. So it's like, it's a strange one to try and do something different. But I guess, he kind of got an understanding of it from Spider-Man, and even Spider-Man looks kind of a bit, the first Spider-Man anyway, looks a bit janky now. So it's just one of those. It looked great at the time.
But Sam Raimi is a guy that can do incredible work with very minimal stuff.
Yeah.
So I almost appreciate it more. Like I'm thinking, I'm probably going to mention this a few times, but like The Evil Dead, that was literally no budget. I think it was Bruce Campbell that had to borrow money off his dad to actually like finish the film or something. But they had almost barely a budget to make that, and that is like one of my all-time favorite films, mostly for like the practical effects and stuff in that film. They made gold out of nothing. And now, what was the budget on this one? I think, so we had 30 million on this one, so obviously a lot bigger budget now. But I feel they could have done more with this film by doing less, if that makes sense.
This is the thing, though. Like, you're in that position where people are wanting to give you more money to make your film. It's almost like you have to then prove you can do things at a higher level. So obviously, once you've done, say, a film like Spider-Man and it's been successful, then people are willing to fund you with similar or more, or in this case, a bit less. If it was unsuccessful, say Spider-Man was an absolute bomb, then he would have been straight back to making films like Evil Dead budget again, or maybe some of the Evil Dead sequel budgets again. So it's a strange kind of trajectory where I don't think the filmmakers get a lot of say in a lot of ways. It's like, you can make that film that you had as an idea that wouldn't cost a lot to make, but we're still going to give you loads of money to make it because you've earned that position. And it's really interesting. I think I watched a documentary about that recently, and like the guy who did La La Land and how he'd never had a film that missed, that didn't make a massive profit, and then he did. And he was actually quite open in saying, I'll have to work my way back up again financially. So like Sam Raimi, I don't know whether I agree with you. I think it probably would have been better if he made it for next to nothing, but then would he have been able to get the sort of the cinemas, release, the wide release that he wanted, and all that kind of things. It's interesting, or whether you're locked in with a studio and they make you make certain choices. It's tricky.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff that kind of reminded me of, this is a Sam Raimi film. Like I've said before, like directors have their own kind of like style, and Sam Raimi's definitely got his. In particular, like his. I'm not sure if this was intentionally supposed to be slightly comedic, but Sam Raimi does like to include a little bit of kind of dark comedy in his films. So it is, even though there's like disturbing, it's quite disturbingly hilarious in some parts, and I'm sure that there's some scenes. It
makes it stand out, doesn't it? It makes it stand out because not a lot of people are willing to do that, and they make their horror very po-faced and super serious. And that's what makes Sam Raimi's, because the gore and the shocks and everything are more exciting and more scary than most really films that are trying to be super scary and taking themselves dead seriously. And then he puts some humor in there as well, which is really cool. I think that's the thing. That's the special sauce that makes him, unique and have such a devoted following. And I'm not even like a massive Sam Raimi fan, but I can appreciate him, and I can understand why people love him so much. And then he does have these kind of very simple ideas in a lot of ways, but the practical side of it is completely unique and unusual. So like the story essentially is like greed is bad. Like that couldn't be any more simple. And even though you kind of empathize with Alison Lohman's character, who reminded me a lot of Kirsten Dunst in this for some reason.
Okay,
She just reminded. I don't know whether he directs them both in the same way, but she's very gentle, but also kind of innocent, and then. Like also there is a bit of humor with all of them, and I was thinking like Justin Long, it's almost a joke now that when he pops up in a horror film, you almost have to submit where he's just like a kind of regular guy who absolutely horrific things always happen to.
I know. I mean, what did he start off in, like Jeepers Creepers, and then lately? Well, I say lately, more recent to you, I'd say, Barbarian. Tusk, I think, is another new one, but I was also watching that Creepshow series that's on Shudder, and I was surprised to see that he's actually got a long episode in one of those as well.
Yeah. I mean, he's great. I remember he was in this is going back into sort of early 2000s, but he had a TV show, or he was in a TV show called Ed, and he was hilarious in that, and I really liked him in that. Then I saw him in Jeepers Creepers. But fast forward to films like Tusk, because I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, Tusk being based off a podcast idea, an idea they had on a podcast, and I never finished Tusk. I just couldn't. It just did not jive with me at all, even though I like Kevin Smith and I like, because it just got really silly, like not fun silly, just like lazy silly. But Barbarian took me 2 watches to realise what he was doing in that film, and I think was so clever, is that you instantly like him and you instantly trust him. So let's give you someone where you're not sure whether you can trust them or not. And like Barbarian, I think, is his best performance that he's ever done. This, he doesn't have a lot to do other than be like solid dude who sticks with his girlfriend. It's a shame because he's capable of loads. I mean, he's in Die Hard 4.0 as well, but
and Dodgeball.
But yeah, he's an unusual character that he plays because he's quite a rich boy from a rich family. He's like really successful, and she's the kind of the one that no one really wants around, kind of thing. Like he's almost like, it's almost like he's not saying this, but she feels like he's doing her a favor by being with her, which is a kind of weird one. She's desperately trying to climb up that ladder, and she doesn't make massively terrible decisions, but she makes decisions that are bad enough to have really terrible repercussions. Like, I don't think like her telling that woman it's the 3rd time or whatever, you can't have more finance on your house, that's not the worst thing. I mean, it's sad and it's not, but she does work in a bank. Like that is her job. It's not like she was like rubbing her hands together and going ha 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 ha. Like, she's not like Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life. She's not like evil. But I guess that's so you can identify with her a little bit and feel a bit sorry for her and follow her. Because if she was an absolute bitch, you'd be like, "Oh, I'm glad this is happening."
Drag her to hell.
Take her to hell. Get her to hell straight away. But yeah, it's an interesting film. But I think you're right. I think that in a perfect world, which sounds weird, he'd make it with less money.
Yeah.
But the acting, you can't fault the 2 leads.
I know we normally wait until after the plot to do our ratings, so I won't say what we think about it then, but I was looking online at the the other ratings like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, and I was quite shocked to see how different they both were, because Rotten Tomatoes have given this a whopping 92%, which is really high for Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
And then IMDb has given them a 6.6 out of 10, which I can get on board with, without saying what I feel. I would lean more towards the IMDb than I would Rotten Tomatoes, because.
So Rotten Tomatoes, is that everything? Is that critics and fans together, or is that?
That is the critics rating. I think the fan rating might be lower, but that's what the critics have given it. 92%.
Critics do like Sam Raimi though, like
yeah.
like there's a lot of them who are kind of brought up with his films and absolutely love them, so maybe would give him a little bit more leeway than they would somebody else.
True.
So maybe that's why the critics is a bit higher, because like it's definitely a Sam Raimi film and it's definitely got some really cool stuff in it, but equally I don't think anyone's saying it's the greatest film ever made or anything.
No. Yeah, that's true. Plus, I was thinking, like, Sam Raimi, obviously, he's an older director, but he's still going really strong today. And I think the reason why a lot of his films stay relevant and fresh, like even like his old ones, like The Evil Dead, is because he's still directing movies, but now he's gone outside of horror and he's doing like Marvel. I think more recently he did like Doctor Strange. Yeah. So I think that helps younger audiences, nowadays, seeing Doctor Strange now, oh, who is this Sam Raimi? And then they go back and look through his other work, and we now have more people that have seen Evil Dead that like it, and they're telling their friends and blah, blah, blah. So I think that's what's keeping him so alive, I think.
Yeah, horror is more mainstream now. So, like, if you make a horror film and it's successful, then you do, like, younger directors now, they do get to then go and make a bigger movie, or it's almost like they start off with a horror. Whereas, I guess it was more unusual for someone like Sam Raimi. I mean, I guess he did Darkman, but to get to go and do Spider-Man, I think that's pretty cool. And like you say, then it opens up, even like Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, I thought was good. It was certainly, I think it was better than the sequel. So he's a trailblazer in that way, which is really awesome. The films are never boring. The people around him are always interesting. The people he puts in his film and the family members he works with happen to be really talented too. I'll mention the Scott Spiegel film Intruder as a really good Raimi-adjacent film with Ted Raimi in it, and actually with Sam Raimi in it doing a little bit of acting, and Bruce Campbell doing a little bit of acting in it, and the whole crew. That's one of my favourite slashers. It's basically a slasher in a supermarket, and that's a really good fun film. So like he's never involved in anything bad.
No.
So that's always for Hollywood, I guess that's a good thing, because they know they're getting somebody reliable who's going to do a good job.
Yeah.
It makes me think of when they tried to make the Fantastic Four film, and they gave that young lad Josh Trank the writer director of Limitless, because Limitless was such a big hit, and then just send him off, let him do Fantastic Four, and he just absolutely just crumbled to pieces. So somebody like Sam Raimi, where every film he does is like solid and going to make a profit.
Yeah, I agree.
And going to do well, and people are going to like it, and critics are going to like it. It's actually pretty rare. There's only really like somebody like Spielberg who can do that.
Yeah, that's true. Right, anyway, shall we now jump into the plot? I will hit that spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
Right, so the film starts back in 1969, where we see a Hispanic couple that seek help from a young medium, Sean Sendina. saying that their son Juan is ill and hears evil voices after stealing a silver necklace from a gypsy's wagon despite trying to return it. Sandina prepares a seance, but an unseen force attacks them and fatally drags Juan to hell, and he is never seen again. So Sandina vows to fight the demon again one day, and then it jumps...
One day.
One day.
What? Sorry, I was being a bit of a wanker there. I do
and then it jumps to present day. That's when we meet Christine Brown, who is a bank loan officer, and she's competing for a management job against her new kind of kiss-ass co-worker, Stu Rubin.
Stews are never good, are they?
Stu.
Stu Maka.
Yeah. Stu can fuck off. Her boss wants to see her make tough decisions. So with that, she meets an elderly European woman called Sylvia Ganush, who wants an extension on her mortgage. But when Christine denies it, Ganush cries and begs not to have her house repossessed, to where the security guards escort her away.
And I would just give her like as many extensions as she wants. Like,
would you give in?
Yeah, but that's probably why I shouldn't work in a bank.
This is your 8th one. Yeah, I know, but last one. Okay, all right.
They look sad, so I gave them £1 million.
Yeah. What did you reckon for that intro? The kid getting dragged to hell. It was very.
It reminded me a bit of the recent Halloween where the kid falls off the stairs.
Oh yeah.
Except I think Halloween did it better.
Yeah.
Probably the best bit of the 3 Halloween films, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably the best bit of that movie.
Yeah.
I
didn't really think much of it, to be honest. The opening bit, I was kind of waiting. Obviously, once we got into the bank, I was a bit like, oh, I hope there's not a lot of bank stuff.
Yeah, it was very quick and to the point, and I like that. I really hate when films kind of give a long, in-depth backstory that just goes on and on and on. You don't need it sometimes. Sometimes you're like, okay, all right, she works in a bank. There's this woman. She said no. That's it.
she works in a bank. Come on, get on with it.
Yeah, and I think I said this earlier, but obviously there's a lot of CGI. So a lot of it is more later on in the film, but yeah, we may as well talk about it now. You know, I'm not a fan of CGI. I much prefer the practical over computer generated. Although saying that, some of them is really bad CGI, and then others is alright. Like there's some like shadows that form kind of thing. That's fine. You can do that, but other ones later on, like there's like an eyeball in a cake just looking around and stuff. I was like, okay, didn't need that one.
Like the idea is good, but the execution isn't as good because of this. But I just have to imagine them at the time going like, "Can you? This is amazing!" Like, and it's like the equivalent of somebody's phone now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it really. Did you pick up on all the kind of gooey, gross sounds that is coming out of Ganush?
Yeah, somebody put that. I saw a review, and somebody just put like noises too loud. I was like, but they're just trying to make it very clear how gross she is. But yeah, it's very good at doing that kind of stuff. That reminded me a bit of Evil Dead, you know, like that kind of gooiness that makes it stand out. I don't know. I guess we need to have her as a bit of a big bad rather than just like a little old woman. Otherwise, we're going to feel really sorry for the old woman, aren't we? There has to be something weird about her, put it that way.
Yeah, when she takes her fucking teeth out.
Oh yeah.
Start sucking on a sweet.
ASMR.
Yeah.
Whatever the opposite of ASMR is.
So yeah, like later that evening, Ganush violently attacks Christine in the car park, and then after quite a long fight in the car, Ganush rips a button from Christine's coat and she curses the button. And then after that whole attack, she feels the need to see a fortune teller named Ramjaz, who tells Christine a dark spirit is haunting her, and the curse begins tormenting her at home and even the next day at work, where she like projectile nosebleeds everywhere and all over her boss. And Christine, she tries visiting Ganush to make things right again, but she's dead.
It's too late.
Yeah. So yeah, and then she goes back to Jazz, and he explains that as long as she owns the cursed button, a powerful demon known as Lamia, that'll keep tormenting her for 3 days before dragging her to hell. How many times am I going to say drag me to hell?
Drag me specifically to hell. Don't you think the bloody nose bit is one of the best bits, and it's quite funny as well?
Yeah, because it was like drop.
Yeah, it was like a hose all of a sudden. That really, it made me laugh. That, but I think he's very deliberate with that timing and the way he does things like that. Like, we'll just have a little bit. She just has a nosebleed. No, better than that. I've got an idea.
Yeah, and her boss like goes up to her, like, "Are you okay?" And you're thinking, "Oh, don't let him see, and then she just like showers him, like full on showers him.
That's my favourite bit. I love that. Where he's just covered and he's like, "Did it get in my mouth?"
And Jazz, the what's his profession? He's a what was he? What did I say he was? Oh, he's a fortune teller.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Swami.
He suggests making a sacrifice. He's like, "Oh, that might help if you make a sacrifice."
Oh, yeah.
And she wastes no time in just sacrificing her kitten.
Yeah, she doesn't give it. Like, that's when I was like, she's a lot more cold-blooded and selfish than I gave her credit for. Like, yeah, like she's just like, "Come here, kitty," squish.
There weren't even like a second thought that went past.
Yeah, she wasn't like, "Oh, I'm so tormented, I don't know what to
do." she went straight home, and then it just cuts to that scene where it's like, "Kitty, kitty, 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 where are you?" And then it cuts to her in the garden just stabbing the shit out of it. I was like, "Ooh, damn." I mean, surely you'd just get a different cat, wouldn't you? Like a stray cat or something?
I don't know.
One that's
maybe,
not yours.
Could you not kill a fly or something? Or a spider. Tiny spider. That'd upset you if I killed a spider.
Yeah. Or do your neighbour's cat. You know, one that comes in your garden and shits on your grass.
Do you not like cats, Ben?
Cats are alright. I'm a dog man, though.
I'm allergic to cats, so I literally can't be near them. But
so you couldn't even sacrifice them if you wanted to?
No, I'd have to get somebody else to sacrifice it for me.
So next there's a whole big scene with her visiting Clay's parents. I don't know if I mentioned Clay's her boyfriend. She goes for dinner for the first time, and while she's trying to make a good impression, which she started to.
Yeah, she was doing well. The mum was taking to her.
She was, yeah. But then all of a sudden she starts hallucinating and getting tormented by these darn demons. Christine returns to Jazz, who introduces her to Sandima, who we saw in the beginning, who prepares a seance to trap the Lamia in a goat and then kills it.
Can you trap it in a goat?
It's always a goat.
Can you do it in a goat?
The Lamia ends up possessing Sandima and then her assistant as well. They temporarily banish the Lamia, and Jazz seals the button in an envelope and tells Christine that she can remove the curse by gifting the button to someone else. Her conscience couldn't let her do it, so instead she digs up Ganoush's grave and shoves it in her mouth.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. She gets really muddy.
Yeah.
I kept thinking of San Dimas. I kept thinking of San Dimas, where Bill and Ted
Bill
are
and
from.
Ted,
I was
I was thinking that too.
And like, so, yeah, there's just like, it's a lot over a button, isn't it?
It is.
It's like a big thing, this button.
Yeah. And you'd have thought he might have mentioned that first, no?
Mm.
You know, after all that's going, I'll just give it to someone else.
Yeah, like, don't kill your cat.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't kill your cat.
Something I couldn't help think was, like, Sandima charges Christine, like, $10,000 to do the seance.
Mm.
So Christine literally sells everything she owns to cover it.
Goes to the pawn shop.
Yeah, she sells
down cash converters.
everything, and then Sandima like says to her that she's been waiting for the chance to face it again, and I'm thinking like maybe if you didn't charge stupid amounts of money, you might be able to find it a bit sooner.
I'm doing you a favour here then if you've been waiting for this.
Yeah, and the seance didn't even work, so technically she should get a refund.
She's selling all her stuff. It's quite funny. Literally within like an hour, she's got like a completely empty house.
Yeah. Oh,
and then her boyfriend comes and he's like, "Hey, do you want loads of money? I'll give you loads of money."
Oh,
and
yeah, and
like,
he funded
she's like,
it.
"Oh shit!" Oh,
Yeah.
my stuff.
Can we stop by the pawn shop on the way to Sandima?
I pawned all my expensive buttons.
Yeah. I think she dies after it, though, don't she, Sandima?
Yeah, she don't look like in a very good condition anyway.
No, I'd have just taken the money back.
It's like, "Oh, are you okay?" And she's just going in a wallet.
One thing I did have a big problem with though was the grave scene when she digs the Ganoush's grave up. Like that's a huge 6 foot deep hole. Whilst it was raining, then all of a sudden, like barely within 1 minute of rainfall, like it's completely filled up and overflowing, and she's like basically drowning inside this grave. I'm like, how hard is this raining?
The weather really came on.
Yeah,
really
where's all this rain coming from where it can fill up a 6 foot deep hole?
It was just like chocolate. It was like just like it was in like a massive milkshake.
Yeah.
Ganoush, chocolate ganoush.
Ganache.
I'm hungry now. I'm starving. After watching this film, it's made me really hungry. I'd love to try some of her special cake as well, with eyes in it and flies and all kinds of bits. Yum. What a film for making you hungry.
She was like bobbing around in there as well, just.
I think Sam Raimi just has like one setting when it comes to stuff like this, like 100% mud or 100% blood or zero. Like he's not interested in a little bit.
That was quite poltergeisty as well, wasn't it? I've just thought of that. Is it poltergeist? Yeah, like all the big burial ground in the back garden that they dig up.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It reminded me of that.
It kind of rushes through these parts really in a way. There's like, I feel like they spend a lot of time in like the internal banking system, who's going to get the job. But then when this is all happening, she's shooting off in the car, she's selling all the stuff, she's like, it all happens pretty quick.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think the pace overall, the whole movie pace is all right.
Yeah,
but
I think it's okay.
Particular scenes, I agree, they do rush particular scenes, especially that one. It all seems to go quite quick at the end.
Yeah, and like I say, the selling of her stuff struck me as a little bit silly and pointless.
Yeah, it was all pointless.
She's really good though. Like Alison Lohman's not done a lot of films since this. I think she was a child actress, and then I think when she got married, she decided to focus on her kids. but she will always comment on Twitter about this film if people post about it, like about how how gross this scene was or how disgusting it was, but like in a funny way. Like she's got quite a funny, almost like distance from acting where she can make fun of it a little bit, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, she's like, if she was a kid actress and she's the same age as me, so she's like in her 40s. In fact, she's 2 months older than me. So she's pretty much on the scrap heap then. But like she'll be in her husband's films. I think he's a director. But Drag Me to Hell was like, she was good in it. I thought she was really good.
Yeah, solid. So now we're right at the end. So the next morning, Christine meets Clay at the train station, where he hopes to then like propose to her, but in a shocking twist, he hands her the envelope with her missing button that he found in his car. She realizes that she'd mixed them up and gave the wrong one to Ganesh, which means that technically she's still cursed because it was never lifted. And Christine falls onto the train tracks, and a fiery demonic hands emerge, dragging her to hell.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't do very well there, did Clay?
No.
I mean, like, she'd give a shit about a little button anyway. Like, why get so excited? I found your button. No one in the history of buttons has ever been like, I found your button.
I found your button.
It's like I found it's almost like Lord of the Rings or something, you know?
Yeah.
One button to rule them all.
If it was me, I'd probably forget, and then 2 weeks later I'd be like, oh yeah, your button's in my car.
Yeah. That's why you fell onto a train track and got dragged to hell.
Yeah.
So what happens next then?
Don't know. She's in hell.
She's in hell. What does he do? Just throw up his hands and go home?
Yeah.
He just shrugs his shoulders.
Oh, well, I'll best take this ring back then.
Yeah. Wow, it's just a button. Fuck's sake. Talk about overreacting.
Yeah, so let's rate it. So, I don't know, from 1 to 10, what are we going to do? 1 to 10, 1 to 10 buttons. How many buttons out of 10?
Scary buttons. I'm going to give it 6.5 buttons out of 10.
Oh, I've got exactly the same. 6.5 buttons. Yeah.
Oh, I believe you. I trust you.
I think that's twice in a row we've got the same score. Now.
Wow, we're in sync. We're like Justin Timberlake. We are. Yeah, so I mean, I was back and forth between a 7 and a 6.5. Just didn't quite tip me over into a 7. I do think that there's some real creative ideas in here. Like we said, it's so solid, and there's some funny bits, and it definitely stands out from other films we've seen on the podcast since we've been looking at films from this era. I think it's a little bit better than, say, like A Wrong Turn or something like that.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it deserves a 6.5, but I couldn't quite tip it over into a 7.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a nice idea. I think that the initial idea was around, like you said, was around the time of big bankers, you know, ripping everybody off and stock markets crashing and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of brings that down to a human level, and like kind of shows you what might happen to you if you just think about yourself and your own and what you want and don't have any sort of empathy. But equally, I don't think she's that bad that we feel like she deserves it. Definitely some of the special effects, maybe the CGI, should I say, lets it down. Even the dragging to hell part, just her falling onto the track and the train coming to her is quite scary on its own. So could we have thought of an interesting, like literally, like in the more recent Evil Dead film, you know, where they gets dragged into the squish her at the end and blood goes everywhere. Like, that would have been really cool if she'd have just been pulled beneath the train or fire or some. You just see loads of. They must have a way of like having a realistic fire and then pulling it. You know, like there's something there. There's a big set piece that could have been done there. I know she did a lot of stunts, and I know that sounds like I'm actually making it even more dangerous. But I just feel it was a bit of a damp squib at the end. I was like,
yeah.
So
no,
that's my thoughts. What about you?
I agree. 6.5. I initially thought I was going to give it a 7 because I've seen this film before. I've seen it a couple of times over the years, and I've enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and in my head, I thought, I reckon that'll be a 7. But upon watching, there was a few things that made me think I couldn't give it a full 7, so 6.5. It's a solid, fun movie. In regards to the movie itself, there's nothing really that I had a major problem with. I mean, the pacing was all right. It was good. It didn't waste too much time. I think it got into it like the thick of it quite quickly and kind of like kept that momentum up. It didn't seem like an hour and 40 minutes, which is good. I wasn't looking at the clock. I wasn't looking at the time on my phone. I was enjoying it. I was into it, so it didn't feel like I was sat there watching it for an hour and 40 minutes. Definitely felt like a Sam Raimi movie with all the silly, quirky, gooey, fun scenes. Like I said before, I'm a big lover of the Evil Dead franchise, so you get elements from those, but obviously they've made it more kind of modern and mainstream. I would have liked more practical effects. I didn't like some of the CGI that was in it. Some of it was a little too heavy, especially more towards the end. I feel like the more you got into it, the more kind of faker it got. In particular, the eye in the cake and the talking goat. I don't think we mentioned that. The talking goat.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the same goat from The Vitch.
Yeah,
and it's the absolute goat. This was the greatest of all time. This one.
So with that, I'm giving it a 6.5.
Nice,
cool. And with that, let's head into some trivia.
Trivia. Oh yeah.
What we got? So the movie I didn't even pick this up, but the movie begins with the old 1980s Universal logo, which is a reference to when Sam Raimi got started in horror with the Evil Dead. Did you notice that? The really old Universal logo?
I guess in my head that's what I see every time.
Yeah, I didn't even pick it up. When Sylvia Ganesh when she attacks Christine in her car, she curses her in Hungarian. I don't know if I can even attempt to say this. As Ordog Saljan Biled. Yeah, that's what she said. And that translates to, shall the devil fly into you?
Oh.
Which it does, doesn't it? Because she literally gets a fly in the mouth.
Yeah, he likes his insects, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I wonder if Sam Raimi has like an insect collection or is like really into insects.
Probably.
Should have asked. I know somebody tenuously who works with him, and really? I should just be like, does he like insects? I'd be like, no, I'm not asking him that shit.
Oh god, there's like something a child would ask. Can you ask him if he likes bugs? 2 weeks later he comes back, he does like bugs. Cool.
So the answer is we don't know.
I thought this was really interesting, and I've never picked this up either, but the yellow Oldsmobile Delta 88 is Sam Raimi's own car that his father bought brand new in 1973. The big yellow car that Ganush drives. That's the same car that's in The Evil Dead's. It's the same car that's in Spider-Man's, and he's pretty much used it in all of his movies, that very same car, and it's actually his car that belonged to his dad.
Of course he likes bugs. He did Spider-Man. Just
Oh, God.
But yeah, my friend works in cars. He works in cars. It sounds like he's like some sort of dodgy, but he like makes cars, and he did some research for me on all the different cars from horror, and one of them was that Oldsmobile. I remember.
Okay.
So when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar.
I know that it's a very iconic part of The Evil Dead, because even in the remakes and the reboots or whatever they are, they still use that car. Did Sam Raimi do those ones? I don't know. They've done like 2 later ones. I don't know if he had it. I'm sure he had something to do with them, but yeah, that's kind of like the car's outside the cabin, the big yellow Delta 88. But I didn't even realise, it's been in pretty much all of his films. Like, that was Uncle Ben's car in Spider-Man, and this one was Ganash's.
Uncle Ben, Ganache, I'm starving.
Oh, God, you are throwing them out today.
I'm just so hungry. So hungry.
All right, last but not least.
Drag me to a takeaway.
The maggots that Ganush throws up on Christine during her nightmare, that's...
I'm not hungry.
That's made out of pasta.
Oh, okay. Maybe I am.
Hungry again.
Can change very quickly.
Yeah. All right. Cool. That's that for that. So let's jump into some fun game.
Play a game.
Cool, right. So this game is highest IMDb. So I'll pin a couple of horrors and you got to guess which one has the highest IMDb rating.
Yeah.
And obviously I'll have to start this off between this one and The Evil Dead.
I am Evil Dead.
Oh, where's my drops?
I got them all right again.
Yeah. Halloween versus the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I'm going to go Halloween. Yeah.
Okay, you sound like you're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I'm going to go with...
I'm determined.
Final answer.
I'm not going to use any of my lifelines.
My Bloody Valentine versus Prom Night.
Oh. I don't think either of them were particularly loved on IMDb, so I'm going to go... Oh, they're very close, aren't they?
Valentine wasn't loved.
Are they very close in terms of the numbers?
I can't tell you. I don't know.
Oh, right, I don't know. I'm going to go...
I know which one's higher, that's all I know.
I'm going to go My Bloody Valentine, but I think it's wrong.
You are right. Hatchet versus Candyman.
Oh, Candyman.
That's one we need to do soon. We haven't done that one yet.
Candyman. There's a dog-related thing in Candyman, though.
Oh, is there?
I think.
I've only seen it once, and that was a long time ago.
I think that's why. I think I've only seen it once, and that's why I stopped.
Oh, okay.
Could be wrong.
Right, a couple of Colts. Reanimator versus...
What did you call me?
Oh, God.
Reanimator.
Reanimator versus Chopping Mall.
Oh, Reanimator. Easily.
Easy.
That was by a country mile, that one, I think.
Oh, right. It all comes down to this one if you get 4
Oh,
marks. Ghoulies versus Critters.
Ghoulies versus Critters. Critters. Yes.
Damn! Wow, wow, wow.
Yes.
God.
What do I get?
Nothing.
Nothing. Same as every week.
You get a well done.
That'll do me. I live for approval.
You can get some more trumpets.
Nice. Trumpet warning.
Yeah. Cool. Right, now to wrap up. We did a poll pick, and that poll pick was for remakes. And I picked 3 top-tier classic horror icons, should I say, that got remade, and remakes don't get a good rap, and I know these films aren't that loved amongst people, but they were A Nightmare on Elm Street, which was 2010 remake, Halloween, which was the Rob Zombie 2007 remake, and Friday the 13th, which was the 2009 remake. And quite surprisingly, by a long shot, Friday the 13th won. We had 129 votes in total, and Friday the 13th got 92 of them.
Wow, do you know, it's having a bit of a resurgence. People are starting to say nice things about it now for some reason.
Yeah, I know, what's his name? Derek Mears?
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that plays Jason in that one. He's doing a lot of conventions.
Yeah.
I know he's been to a couple. He was at the HorrorCon I went to a couple of months ago, and I think he was also at For the Love of Horror last year. So yeah, he seems like a really nice guy, and he likes chatting to people. So yeah, that might play a part in it when you actually go and meet these people. Makes you revisit their films, and be like, oh, actually, it wasn't that bad.
Well, if you're like a teenager when it came out, you're probably like in peak starting to reminisce age.
Yeah.
So people will start to say, "Oh, I went to see this at the cinema," and da 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 da.
Yeah, I know I was very stubborn when it come to remakes. I kind of made my mind up before I'd even watched it, especially with The Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, that one only got 7 votes out of 129. But I remember I watched that one in the cinema when it came out, and I already knew before I went in there, I was like, I'm not going to like this. No one's going to top Robert Englund. No one's going to beat the OG Freddy.
And Robert Englund is getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I see that earlier,
Which is really cool. But yeah, you're right. I recently saw the remake to My Bloody Valentine, and there was an amazing scene in it which made it worthwhile. I don't know if you can think which one it was.
I haven't seen that. Have I seen it? I might have done.
You'd have remembered it. It was one where a little person and a naked woman and like somebody like being killed all happens running around. It's crazy. It's like a circus all at once. Like for about 3 minutes it goes completely insane, and then the rest of the film it's like it's okay.
Oh wow. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd have to rewatch that one. I think that was probably around the same time as this one as well, wasn't it? Like early 2000.
I got it for 50p at a car boot sale recently, and it had like a little packet of 3D glasses with it.
Oh wow, bargain.
Yeah. I know. Just walk around where I can't wear them. I can't see out of one eye anyway, so it's pointless for me. If I could wear them, I could just walk around wearing them.
Right, cool. That's it. That's been a good episode. So I'll see us out. So if you've liked today's episode and want to hear more, then go ahead and give us a follow on wherever you're listening from. You can find us on Facebook, as that's where we stick up the poll picks, and you can vote for what we do next. That's all for today. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
We all go a little mad sometimes.